Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
What was that?
I have a fan in my room because it gets hot in here, and it just decided now was the perfect time to fall the fuck over.
Oh my god.
What a cold open!
I thought you were tap dancing or something.
No, a fan in my room just collapsed.
It doesn't get much better than that, folks.
I'm keeping that in. Welcome to the Totally Awesome Podcast. My name is Josh Geddon. There are many reasons why this is the worst podcast ever, and the first 30 seconds is a good example of that. I'm joined by your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty.
Now, I would say that I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today, but I gotta say I started thinking about that phrase and how stupid it is. Because unless you're in the International Space Station, we're all under the weather. All the time.
You thought way too much into that.
So I'm just saying, when somebody says they're under the weather, say, unless you're in space, you are not. Well, you're telling the truth too much, but it doesn't change your current actual physical state. So I'm feeling a little puny, but I'm doing okay.
He's got a stuffy nose.
Oh, I thought there'd be more gunk in my...
Oh, God.
I'm getting better.
Also being joined by the Bay Area Brawler... Alright, I'm keeping all of this in, by the way. I'm the Bay Area Brawler, Fish Tank Skylar Greenberg.
What is all this just...
How much snot is in your nose at the moment?
I can already tell.
Skylar, how much snot you got in your nose? What is that?
I sound like my uncle trying to laugh at his own jokes.
No, it's because this opening is just one of the greatest things that's ever happened. We're doing SCCG Palmetto Power episode 11.
That's right, your fantasy booking is about the hawkaloogie all over South Carolina.
Oh, absolutely. And if all the places to hawkaloogie, South Carolina is the perfect place.
So take your word on
that. As always, we begin the show with a recap of episode 10. The big thing that happened was Tommy End and John Morrison went to a time limit draw in the main event last week. So the stipulation was if Tommy End would have won that match, it would have been a three-way match at the pay-per-view. This is Spartanburg for the SCCG World Title involving Anthony Corelli. Or if John Morrison would have won it, would have stayed a singles match. However, it was a time limit draw. What is the fate of the world title main event going to be? We're going to find out here tonight.
Yeehaw.
And also, we had some things going on. Basically, our main event tonight is a women's match, giving the women an opportunity to succeed here. Not looking at Tony Khan whatsoever, because he does not deserve to be looked at. So yeah, our main event tonight, Mercedes Martinez versus the insane, unhinged Godzilla Leviathan known as Piper Niven. In a number one contenders match, winner faces Maiko Satomura at the pay-per-view. And also, we hyped up to Hook versus Darby Allin in a number two contendership match here tonight. And also, we were entertained just running roughshod over everything. So we all caught up?
That's about right.
We all caught up?
I'm caught up.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go? All right. So tonight, we are at the Memorial Arena in Clemson, South Carolina. We're back in South Kakalaki. We were in North Carolina last week.
That's right.
And our commentators are Taz and good old JR. He is back from his injury, because a couple weeks ago, he got hit in the face with steel steps. And we can't have any of that. So he's in a neck brace, Vince McMahon style.
Or Jim Cornette style.
Or Jim Cornette style. So it's going to be Taz and JR.
Vince McMahon style because Vince McMahon is currently persona non grata.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Well, Vince might have fucked that neck brace. We know Jim Cornette did not.
Does
the neck brace have an NDA? Somebody find out.
Does the neck brace place your bets on DraftKings?
Well, you know the fact that the neck brace is white probably means yes, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, and with JR being put back on commentary, and since we used Josh Matthews to do interviews last week, From now on SCCG, we're going to switch back and forth between Todd and Josh Matthews, so it's not just the same person doing all the interviews.
All right.
So the show starts, and JR and Taz are basically Taz is welcoming back JR, and JR is like, I'm happy to be here. Just keep me the frick away from Piper Niven, because she scares me.
She scares a lot of people, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what a show to bring you back than to have her in the main event.
Oh, yeah. JR's like, I will
Welcome
be...
back, JR.
JR's like in the coal mine, the JR mine. You remember that big plastic square that Michael Cole was in when he was a heel?
Don't remind us about you, man.
Oh, please. Shoot me.
So, one of the big things, an edict from our general manager, John Cena. In figuring out who will be facing who for the world title, how the world title situation is going to happen at This Is Spartanburg, John Cena has set up something that we haven't seen in a while in wrestling. There will be 3 Beat the Clock challenges matches tonight. Are you guys familiar with the Beat the Clock stipulation?
Yes, but why don't you recap it for the lovely fans of TAW at home?
Okay, because TAW fans are pretty ignorant. But anyway, my words.
Your words, not mine, but...
So, basically...
Listen to this. The owner is making fun of you people. He is NDAs away from being Vince McMahon himself.
To be fair, the man who runs the show also just about destroyed his own laptop 10 seconds after the show started, so take from that what you will.
It was not 10 seconds, it was maybe 3 seconds. It was like, welcome to the BAM!
Welcome to the explosion sound effect. So basically, a Beat the Clock challenge is you have a couple matches with some people that are involved in a storyline, and basically the idea is your match is timed, and the first person in the Beat the Clock challenge, if they win their match, however long the match went, that's basically your time limit. And the next Beat the Clock challenge, if you cannot beat your opponent within that time, then you lose. The match ends and you just lose. However, if you win and if you beat the clock, basically, then your time is the new time to beat, and at the end of the night, whoever has the fastest time wins the challenge. Also, if you lose in the Beat the Clock challenge, then you just lose outright. So, John Morrison, Anthony Corelli, and Tommy End will all be involved in Beat the Clock challenge matches tonight.
Alright.
If John Morrison wins, then it will remain a one-on-one match against Anthony Corelli at This Is Spartanburg for the world title. If Anthony Corelli wins the match, he will get to decide who he wants to face at This Is Spartanburg, either John Morrison or Tommy End. It'll be up to him. If Tommy End wins the match, then it will be a 3-person match.
Interesting.
So we're bringing back the Beat the Clock challenge, because it's been a long time since we've seen a Beat the Clock challenge.
It has. I mean, the last time that I remember doing a Beat the Clock challenge, I did it with my girlfriend, and she was not a
Wow.
Here's the question: is that did you beat the clock, or did
I
the
sure
clock beat
did.
you?
I beat the clock, but it might have been a little bit too fast. I was a little too proud of the number, and she was not happy about it.
Are you sure that's a clock that you were beating? Anyway, moving on. So now...
I don't remember. It all happened so fast.
Wait, hold on. Is Jessica implying that your girlfriend was an actual clock?
Maybe.
Maybe, perhaps.
She does have 2 hands.
She does have 2 hands. Jesus Christ.
Amazing.
So anyway, so JR and Taz run down the card for tonight. So we have 9 matches tonight.
Alright.
And we start with our undercard. Our opening contest will be Hook versus Darby Allin in an SCCG Cruiserweight Championship number 2 contenders match. The winner of this match will face Ilya Dragunov on episode 12 of Palmetto Power in the number 1 contenders match, and the winner of that will face Zack Sabre Jr. for the Cruiserweight title at the pay-per-view.
Okay.
Match 2, Gallus versus Los Ingobernables de Japón, Evil and Sonata in a tag team match.
Okay.
Match 3, Raquel Gonzalez versus our good friend Xia Li.
That's gonna be short.
Because Xia Li did so well last week.
Yeah.
Alright, match 4. The first Beat the Clock challenge match. John Morrison versus Dolph Ziggler.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Say what you want, those two have actually had some pretty decent matches in the past.
It'd be good. It'd be good.
Especially their match at Hell in a Cell 2009 for the Intercontinental title. That match was amazing.
The problem is that's 2009. I don't think Dolph Ziggler and John Morrison are on the same level anymore.
Well, perhapsicles. Match
They would
5.
probably still put in some good work, though.
Yeah.
Even at their advanced ages, I think that they would still put in some good stuff.
Yeah. Match 5. Our second Beat the Clock Challenge match. Anthony Corelli, the World Heavyweight Champion, versus Fabian Eichner.
That's a weird
Okay.
pairing.
Very weird pairing, I know.
That is a weird pairing.
Match 6. Cedric Alexander and a mystery partner, because Shelton Benjamin is injured, versus Primo and Epico of We Weren't Entertained.
Okay.
Match 7. The Internet Champion, Samoa Joe, versus Matt Sydal.
Okay.
And the third Beat the Clock challenge to end out the mid-card section, Tommy End versus Bray Wyatt.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. By the way, do I no longer sound like I'm in the fishbowl?
You've emerged like a beautiful mermaid.
You evolved from fishbowl to full-fledged, like, dentist aquarium.
I'm not a merman.
I want to Photoshop Skylar, but as a mermaid so bad. I'm going to do it.
I'm man.
Hold on. I have to work on Karmala first.
That is Karmala. That is a nightmarish abomination that I absolutely would love to make. And we have our main event.
About eating dirt?
We have our main event. Piper Niven versus Mercedes Martinez, SCCG Women's Championship #1 contenders match.
This show needs more dirty bubble.
Oh my god.
Or man rape.
That's right.
Is this
Or
your match card?
the bronze kneecap.
Oh, the
Wait, hold on. That's the wrong cartoon show.
that's
That's the wrong cartoon show.
what about a superhero? The Crimson Chin.
That's right.
Again, the wrong cartoon show. You're mixing it up, you bitches.
All right. Speaking of midgets, we have our first match: Hook,
I don't think they consider them midgets, man.
the midget division. Hook versus Darby Allin.
Hold on, you can't say that you have a midget division because you actually gave me a midget division.
Yeah, don't you fucking forget it. All right. So Hook versus Darby Allin.
Fired or killed.
Hook versus Darby Allin, SCCG Cruiserweight Championship #2 contendership match.
Yeah, serious, for reals now.
All right, 15-minute time limit. Who you got winning? Who you got facing Ilya Dragunov, and how long does this match go?
Go ahead, Sky.
Give me the Hook in 8 minutes.
Sean?
I'm gonna say that this is gonna be a surprise win for Darby Allin, but it's gonna go like 9 or 10 minutes, and there's gonna be shenanigans afterwards.
We shall see. All right, so they make their entrances, but before they lock up, Zack Sabre Jr. comes down to ringside with his Cruiserweight Championship. And he doesn't sit at the announce table. He's just at ringside to watch the match. Because, again, he's scouting. And I'm also not going to have him come down to music. They're just going to notice him off screen and then smash cut to him coming down the ring when he's halfway down the aisle.
Yep.
So anyway, our match begins, and it goes 8 minutes. So, Skylar, you were right about the time.
Yay!
So during the match, again, it's Darby flying all over the place and Hook trying to keep it on the ground. And Hook is actually... Darby's getting some moves in here and there, but this match is mostly just Hook throwing Darby around. So Hook puts Darby Allin in Red Rum, but Darby Allin is like trying to fight out of it, and he does, the Bret Hart roll out of the sleeper into the pin thing.
Yep.
So he has his shoulders down, but Zack Sabre Jr., the referee doesn't see this, Zack Sabre Jr. reaches into the ring and holds Hook's legs down. 1, 2, 3, Darby Allin wins.
Aha!
Darby Allin
Suck on my balls.
Darby Allin wins, although
No, I'm not.
he has I might. Darby Allin has no idea that Zack Sabre Jr. just did this, and as soon as he gets the 3, Zack lets go and walks away, pretends he didn't do anything.
Wow. Shenanigans.
Yeah, so Zack Sabre Jr. has cost Hook this match. And
but it doesn't necessarily put any heat onto Darby because Darby had no idea that it was even taking place.
Yeah, exactly. So Hook is upset. He's yelling at the referee. Darby Allin wins, and that's basically it for that segment. So next, so the go-home show for This Is Spartanburg will be Darby Allin versus Ilya Dragunov in a number 1 contendership match.
Got it.
Also, once again, we said this last week, there needs to be more like number 2 contendership matches in wrestling, because I think that's an interesting concept. What do you think, Sean?
So long as it's not overdone.
Exactly.
It's fine. I mean, every so often it's nice to do that. It's not necessarily a tournament style, but it's kind of a tournament style. It's just a very, very small bracket.
Yes.
Why did you have to do the thing, Sean, of telling me to suck my balls and my internet goes out at the same time?
Well, TAW is more than familiar with my proficiencies with the internet and with hacking.
Don't even get me started.
And the best part is I barely have to do anything to make it happen.
See, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you don't get Windows.
Yeah, live in a house that's just walls.
That's right.
No windows.
No outside light.
No, just complete and total darkness unless you have light bulbs. Light bulbs are okay.
Old 1850s lanterns up in this bitch.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Want it to look like Dragon's Lair.
Oh, God.
Okay, that's a deep cut. Anyway, let's continue, shall we?
Speaking of the Dragon's Lair, we have our good friend Todd Grisham backstage. Joining me, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, one half of our main event tonight, Piper Niven. And Niven walks in, and she already
I'm afraid. Boo.
Boo! She's not happy. Has not been happy in like a month, ever since she lost at Sumter Slam. And so Todd's like, so Piper, tonight it is you versus Mercedes Martinez. And over the past couple weeks, Mercedes has gotten the better of you. So are you going to fall victim to her again tonight, or are we going to see more domination from you here tonight? And Piper says, correction, she hasn't gotten one over on me the past 2 weeks. She's screwed me over the past couple weeks. She's hit me and ran like a coward. Because I guess that's the only thing people can do against me is a bunch of hit and runs. Because if they stay in the ring with me, or stay close enough to me, they're not going to be walking afterwards. I mean, look what I did to Xia Li last week. I'm actually surprised that she's wrestling tonight. Probably won't last very long knowing her. But you can expect more of the same from Mercedes Martinez tonight. Because she won't be walking into This Is Spartanburg as number 1 contender. She won't be walking out of Palmetto Power here tonight. I can guarantee you that. And so Piper Niven, she actually shoves Todd away from her and walks away.
The audacity and the harumphness.
The
harumphness.
The harumphness. I think you've invented. Is that a verb or an adjective?
Look at the adjective. Play.
Look at the adjective. Harumphness.
I love it.
So immediately after this, before we go to commercial, we have a hype package for one of our huge matches at This Is Spartanburg. Samoa Joe versus Kazuchika Okada for the SCCG Internet Championship. And it's just showing Samoa Joe knocking people out with a muscle buster, defeating Ted DiBiase at Sumter Slam to win the title, choking people out with the coquina clutch. And it switches over to Okada laying people out with a Rainmaker, that beautiful drop kick. Basically, just hyping up that title match.
Alright.
So up next, match 2, we have Gallus, Wolfgang, and Joe Coffey versus Los Ingobernables de Japon's Evil and Sonata. Who wins, and how long does this match go?
Give me 8 minutes again. I'm gonna go with Gallus.
Who
What's the time
pins?
limit on this one?
15-minute time limit. All undercard matches have a 15-minute time limit.
I'm going to say that this goes 6 minutes. And the winner is definitely in the ring.
Thank you, Sean. And this time, Sean, you actually got the time correct. This match goes 6 minutes.
Hooray!
God damn it.
And really short.
Suck my balls.
I've already have, but if you insist. So Short, sweet, simple, and to the point, just like when I suck your balls. Wolfgang pins the Evil with the Swanton.
Yay, I'm right.
So,
that's how I described that night, but okay.
So Gallus is 3-0 here in SCCG as we ignore that and just move right past it. And
yeah, I remember you saying that night.
God damn it! Oh man.
Oh my god.
So, just like the last couple of times that Gallus has won, Joe Coffey just holds up 3 fingers at the camera and makes the belt gesture once again. So Gallus is on a roll. They've beaten Jurassic Express, they beat Rybaxel, and now they've beaten Evil and Sonata. So Gallus are people to watch because they've got momentum.
They sure do.
On a roll.
Absolutely. All right, so now we have our final match of the undercard. What a main event. Raquel Gonzalez, one-on-one with Xia Li. Boys, who wins this match, and how long does it go?
Minute and a half, Xia Li squash.
2 minutes, Spanish Kevin Nash.
Wow, I mean, when you put it like that. So, this match goes 2 minutes, and yeah, it's a 2-minute squash. Raquel Gonzalez just destroys Xia Li because, Xia Li is a jobber. To the
Spanish Kevin Nash.
To the surprise of no one. But then Raquel Gonzalez, after winning, she when the referee tries to raise her hand, she yanks it away and storms outside the ring, grabs the microphone and starts yelling, "Layla Hirsch, I heard what you said about me last week, and if you want to fight me, bitch, why don't we go at it this is Spartanburg? Let's see how tough you are when you're in the ring with me, an actual titan. Let's go. I mean, yeah, you got one over on me in a 6-woman tag, but you didn't beat me. Yeah, you German suplexed me once. Let's see you do it again." And she just throws the microphone. So Raquel Gonzalez has laid out the challenge for Layla Hirsch at This Is Spartanburg.
All right, I'm about it.
Skylar?
I like to step up in competition. Raquel Gonzalez is going to be one of those women that she needs to wrestle against good opponents. I don't know if Layla Hirsch is a good opponent, but she's an opponent.
She is definitely a opponent, and I'm trying to take my time with Layla Hirsch.
Well, and I also do like the fire that you're giving Raquel. Like, she's not just saying, like, at SummerSlam, may the woman who is the best win. Like, she's got some anger with her. She's got some gusto. She acts like she really wants to kick
Sean,
ass, and I appreciate that.
Sean, I don't think we have to worry about many more Vince McMahon scripted promos anymore.
Oh, no, I think that was all Liv, actually.
Yeah.
It's always been my dream to be a professional wrestler.
Who let Liv Morgan in here? Also, just saying, if I ever hire Liv Morgan, she will exclusively be a jobber. And I think that goes without saying.
I have no rebuttal for that.
Also, just saying, Triple H, can you please change Raquel's name back to Gonzalez? Please?
Yeah, I don't know how high priority changing people's names back is on his list, sadly.
It should be high up there.
Things that they're talking about. Joshua, you want to hear this one?
Does that have to do with Dewdrop?
They're trying to get the copyright for Piper Niven.
I hope they do, because Dewdrop is up there for one of the worst names I've ever heard.
Terrible.
It is the
For
worst.
example, Garza is now Angel Garza again, and they're trying to get they're trying to get the copyright for Piper Niven. They're also trying to get the copyright for Matt Riddle. Apparently, there's some issues there. I don't know why.
Isn't that his actual name?
I've also heard that she might be trying. She dropped some hints that she might be going back to her original wrestling name, Viper. But the thing is, one of Randy Orton's nicknames is the Viper, so Piper Niven just sounds better.
To answer your question, Matthew Riddle is his name, but they're trying to get Matt Riddle. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Screw it, just call him Matthew Riddle. Imagine him coming down to ringside and them saying, Matthew Riddle.
Madrade El Riddle.
Jesus.
See? You're welcome, WWE.
Put that in your blunt and smoke it. Anyway, So
you know what? That actually reminds me.
Okay, so while Sean is getting his big ass butt,
yeah.
what's happening next on the show, my man?
All right, so we go to our intermission. It's only like 5-10 minutes, you know, giving the crowd a little bit of chance to breathe, go get some concessions, use the bathroom. So the crowd comes back. We come back from our commercials, and before the next match can start, Kenny Omega's music hits.
Oh no!
And Kenny.
Oh, wait.
What? That's the other guy. Kenny Omega walks out, and he's not like gesticulating, one of my favorite words ever. He just looks just concerned and befuddled, and he gets in the ring because Sean, please. So Kenny Omega has the microphone, and he's standing there, and he's like trying to think of something to say, because again, this whole feud with The Fiend is just concerning all of our viewers and Kenny Omega. And Kenny says, alright, I had a match last week with one of my all-time greatest rivals, Kazuchika Okada. And, you know, I was on my way to winning, as I'm one to do. And then The Fiend just appeared and cost me the match, so... You know, Kazuchika Okada, when you're done playing around with Samoa Joe, I should be in the internet title match because I had that match won, but I'm not going to get into that because I'll just get mad. It'll just increase my blood pressure. And I'm already worried enough about my mental health as it is. But speaking of things that make me worried for my mental health, Bray Wyatt, you got to stop interrupting. You got to stop interfering in my career and interrupting my matches, interrupting my life. I was born and destined to be a champion in professional wrestling. As I'm one of the best to ever do it. You know how many 7-star classics are on my resume?
Who cares?
I have there are more stars next to my matches than there are teeth in this arena.
It's actually true.
And there are more stars next to my matches than there are sisters for you to anyway.
You can't say that.
You're saying the inbreds.
Anyway, so I'm just gonna get down to the point. Bray Wyatt, I'm sick and tired of you being John Cena's little bitch. I'm sick and tired of him sicking you on me, so we all know where this is headed. Bray Wyatt, throwing out the gauntlet. Me and you at This Is Spartanburg. And if I beat you, you leave me the hell alone.
Oh my god.
Alright, do you understand that? Creepy Mr. Rogers wannabe whatever the hell clown you are. You make no sense. And then the Titantron starts flickering. And making noises. And then happy Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt, appears on the screen. He says, "Oh, Kenny, oh, Kenny, oh, Kenny." And he's clapping his hands. I'm so happy that you finally challenged me to a match. This is going to be so much fun. Just me and you on the playground that is the professional wrestling arena. I'm so excited. But you never know what you're going to get when you're dealing with me, Kenny. I'm not just some child for you to play with. So the question is, which Bray Wyatt are you going to be playing with at This Is Spartanburg? Which Bray Wyatt will be at Spartanburg? Will it be the creepy Mr. Rogers knockoff, which that hurt my feelings, Kenny. I hope you know that. You should know better than to hurt my feelings. Will it be the Bray Wyatt that was around for a while, the Swamp Thing, as it were? The quote-unquote crazy cult leader. And again, crazy is another one of those hurtful words that I just don't really care for. Think of the kids. Or will it be my personal favorite? Will it be him? Will it be The Fiend? We'll just have to see, Kenny Omega. I can't wait for you to find out. And don't worry. I'll leave you alone after This Is Spartanburg, because after This Is Spartanburg, there won't be anything to mess with. Bye! And then the camera cuts out. As he's like giving the wiggly fingers bye-bye, and it's just super kind of, awkward. And so then we go to commercial break. And we're actually going to have him wiggling his fingers and going by, and the screen cutting out on the Titantron feed right into the commercial break.
That I like. They should have done that more often.
Yeah.
Or when they actually did that with Bray, with the Fiend. They should have had it go straight to commercial like that.
Admittedly, your promos got better once you got the crowd involved and started making fun of them.
Yeah. It's too easy.
Because you liked a little bit of the passion until you started making fun of South Kakalaki.
It's so easy to make fun of my home state. They just... Anyway. So we come back from a commercial, and we have the...
Hold on, one second. Sean, what do you think of this idea of a match between Kenny Omega and Bray Wyatt?
Yes, please do tell.
Part of my soul is dead. But that's unrelated to this matchup. No, I hate this. But I'm also curious. What would this look like?
This would be...
What would this look like?
It would be... It would be monumentally disturbing to anyone named Sean McCarty.
I would... You know what? If Tony ever actually got Bray Wyatt and somehow put together Kenny Omega and Bray Wyatt in a match, I'd have to watch it. Just to see just the absolute car crash. It honestly triggers the most morbid of my curiosities.
It would be like the biggest car crash ever. You're seeing the horror and you want to look away, but you can't. It's definitely a freak show, but that's the point of Bray Wyatt in general. And Kenny Omega, if you're Jim Cornette, because he is pretty much the biggest freak show in wrestling, according to Jim Cornette. Which, by the way, I will give you credit for referencing the children when it comes to who Kenny Omega has wrestled.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we know what Bray Wyatt's opinions on.
Moving on to match 4. And our opening...
You did this. You started this.
No, you... All right, this is both of your faults. Skylar, you gave me Bray. Sean, you gave me the child.
Well, maybe your mom gave.
You know what? Match 4.
Yeah.
The first of our 3 Beat the Clock challenge matches. John Morrison versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, all mid-card matches have a 20-minute time limit. How long does this go and who wins?
Sky?
John Morrison in 12 minutes, question mark?
Question mark?
I'm gonna say that John Morrison wins in like 7 minutes and sets the bar really high for the night.
How about we split it down the middle? This match goes 9 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay.
And, again, not going to go into too much detail. They start out with a collar and elbow tie-up, and there's a lot of chain grappling at the beginning, but then... And there's actually a lot of collar and elbow tie-ups on this show, except for when it doesn't call for it. Because, again, we know how much Sean loves his collar... Which, honestly, to be fair, you should start most wrestling matches with a collar and elbow tie-up.
Or like a standing side switch, or just like...
Or some kind of... Something other than hockey fight.
Yes, oh god.
And more hockey fight.
Leave the hockey fight.
Let's start with a super kick.
Or that.
Let's start with 15 super kicks.
Alright, Young Bucks, calm down.
Or my favorite, which is just... Let me just punch you into the corner a little bit, and then back off, and then we do more punching into the corner a little bit.
What, you don't like seeing that in every match? But anyway, so again, they start out with some actual grappling, and by the end of the match, John Morrison hits the flying chuck kick, picks him up, moonlight drive, 1, 2, 3. John Morrison has defeated Dolph Ziggler to the surprise of no one, and the match time is, and the time to beat is 9 minutes 20 seconds.
I'm fine with this because even though he is what he is at this point, Dolph Ziggler is still a solid wrestler.
Exactly.
He's not going to lose in a quick amount of time. I just figured that he was going to make John Morrison work a little bit harder than he did.
Mm-hmm. However, not too long after Morrison gets the 1, 2, 3, from behind, Anthony Corelli slides in and clocks Morrison in the back of the head with the world title.
Oh, what a filthy face.
And then he starts just taunting the fans, waving the world title around like a maniac, and just making inappropriate and obscene gestures towards John Morrison, throws him out of the ring, and we go to commercial as the announcers are just burying Anthony Corelli for being unprofessional and a jerk and a douche. Boo this man, boo.
What a bad pooper.
So, we come back from commercial, and Anthony Corelli's already in the ring because he just attacked John Morrison. And Morrison, you see him out of the corner of the screen being helped to the back by some ringside doctors. Again, not doing a stretcher job because we've done plenty of those in SCCG so far. So up next, we have our fifth matchup, Anthony Corelli, the world champion, versus Fabian Eichner. And obviously, this is a non-title match. But it's also a Beat the Clock challenge, our second one. 20-minute time limit. The time to beat is 9 minutes and 20 seconds.
I'm going to choose 4 minutes and 20 seconds, bruh.
I'm not at all surprised.
But I'm going to say that he halves the time, putting even more pressure on Tommy End.
Exactly.
8 minutes and 47 seconds for one Anthony Corelli.
Hot damn, Skylar. The match goes 8 minutes and 43 seconds. How did you get so close?
That's pretty good.
Jesus, dude.
Damn.
So Fabian actually puts up a pretty decent fight against Anthony Corelli and surprises him. However, Corelli cuts him off, hits him with the Corelli bomb, and then puts him in the pace choke, and Fabian has no choice but to submit, and he wins the match, setting a new time, 8 minutes, 43 seconds.
Hot diggity damn, I was only 4 seconds off.
That's pretty good.
So John Morrison has already lost the Beat the Clock challenge. Even though he defeated Dolph Ziggler, he won his match. He did not win the Beat the Clock challenge.
Hate to see it.
So anyway, before we go to commercial, we have Josh Matthews saying, joining me at this time, one half of next week's number one contendership match for the Cruiserweight Championship, Ilya Dragunov. And Dragunov goes up to Josh, and Josh says, so, tonight you were able to witness your two possible opponents going at it, and you will be facing Darby Allin next week. Are you at all worried about that? Can you defeat Darby Allin? Will you become number one contender, perhaps even the next SCCG Cruiserweight Champion? What's going on, Ilya? And before Ilya can even say anything, he's interrupted by Zack Sabre Jr. And Zack's just like, oi! Just from off screen. And he just shoos Josh Matthews away and takes the microphone away from him. And he says, let me tell you exactly what's going to happen. Regardless of whoever wins on the next episode, basically you're getting a first-class ticket to, submitting live on pay-per-view in front of many, many people. Because it doesn't matter if you win, it doesn't matter if Darby wins, that emo embarrassment wins. Regardless, you're going to be tapping out to Zack Sabre Jr., the Cruiserweight Champion. And Ilya grabs the microphone from Zack and says, you're not as confident as you appear to be. I mean, if you were so confident, then why did you go out of your way to screw Hook earlier? Are you afraid of Hook? Honestly, you shouldn't be afraid of Hook. You should be afraid of me. And he just shoves the microphone in Zack's face, and they start getting into it. But then Josh Matthews gets in between them and is like, all right, go back to ringside. So, they go back to ringside, and the commentators start hyping up the next match, was a tag team match, and then we go to commercial.
Okay, hold on. I need to call bullshit. Josh Matthews would never have the balls to separate two wrestlers.
Well, it's him and, like, a referee or two.
Even still.
He's trying to get the microphone. He's like, all right, we'll be back. Go to ringside. Not really he's not getting in between them. He's just trying to get the camera back to ringside because they ran out of time for the promo segment. And again, I don't want to have too many backstage altercations every episode.
Right, because then they'd be tiring. It'd be the same thing we're going to have this person interrupt this person, or we're going to have this person interrupt this person every single time.
But also, what Ilya said is a point that I want to emphasize. Perhaps Zack Sabre Jr. screwed Hook on purpose because Zack Sabre Jr. doesn't really want to face Hook. He's more comfortable with high flyers like Darby Allin because he has a good track record against him. But going up against someone who also has a good ground game, maybe that worries Zack Sabre Jr. a little bit.
Well, I mean, you heard him last time give props to this man.
Exactly.
To Hook. So he obviously, like, respects the fact of what he's doing ground game-wise. And because most of his strategy is stopping high flyers, he may not be prepared for someone that's on his level.
Exactly.
Literally.
He wants to puff out his chest and act all big and bad, but he might not be as big and bad as he wants everyone to believe he is. But anyway, we come back from commercial.
I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
What? Is that actually a thing he did?
Who? Zack Sabre Jr.?
I hope so.
No, like Josh Matthews.
No.
Remember when Josh Matthews was an authority figure for Impact?
Remember when Josh Matthews went heel? Went full on Michael Cole in
and wrestled
Impact.
JB with Scott Steiner? Impact.
There's a reason.
Teenage years are rough on all of us.
There's a reason why Impact was on the TV Guide channel for so long. But anyway, speaking of an Impact, up next we have our 6th match: Cedric Alexander and question mark versus Primo and Epico. Who do you think will be his tag team partner?
It's gotta be Vacant, man. Vacant's going for the gold.
Vacant is that dastardly Vacant.
I'm gonna say a raccoon and a bandana.
How did you
Swiper,
guess?
No swiping. Swiper, no swiping.
RJ from Over the Hedge.
Oh no, I like it better. I like Swiper. Yes, it's Swiper the Fox.
Coming to TAW near you or UCT, Swiper the Fox and Dora.
Cannot be beaten unless somebody says it to the microphone. Swiper, no swiper.
Bro, I can actually put Dora into the Femme Fatale division. That might actually work. Okay, anyway, enough brainstorming. So Primo and Epico come out first, and they're getting booed because again they hurt the hometown boy Shelton Benjamin because he is a South Carolina boy. So Cedric Alexander comes out, and he's holding his tag team title, and he points to the entrance ramp, and out comes Ted DiBiase Jr.
Oh.
Yay, DiBiase posse.
Don't you dare, Skylar. Why are we bringing up the shittiest parts of the 2010s?
Well, you're the one that hired the 2010s.
You know what? You're right.
That's a fair argument.
So, Cedric's already in the ring, and Ted is making his way to ringside. However, from behind, Naito and Tanahashi attack him from behind because, again, they're feuding, and they're beating him, they're brawling up the ramp, and Cedric tries to go out there and help him, but he gets into it with Tanahashi. Meanwhile, Primo and Epico are just watching the show, basically eating popcorn, New Day style in the ring. So, Naito eventually hits the Destino on the stage on Ted DiBiase, knocking him out cold. And so after he does that, he tells Tanahashi to stop fighting with Cedric, and then they leave. So now we have doctors tending to Ted DiBiase, and we go to a premature commercial break. And when we come back from break, Ted DiBiase Jr. will not be able to compete in this match, and Cedric does not have enough time to find another tag team partner, so you know what this means. It's going to have to be a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Oh, no.
Good luck, Cedric.
So it's Cedric versus Primo and Epico of We Were Entertained. How long does this match go? And who wins?
I'm going to say that this is a valiant effort by Cedric. You know, he's got some flurries back. I'm going to say this goes like a solid 8 minutes. As far as like it's a lot of double teaming at first, but then Cedric does make a comeback, but the numbers game just does a minute after a while.
Yeah. What about you, Skylar?
Gains in 9 minutes.
I'm going to go a little bit lower. This match goes about 6 minutes. There is some fiery Cedric Alexander. He does get some moves in, but again, it's the numbers game. He actually does knock one of them off the apron and hits the neuralizer kick, which is his setup for the lumbar check. But when he goes for it, the other Cologne runs into the ring and knocks him down, prevents the move from happening, and the referee starts the count. But before the referee can get to 5, they hit a double backstabber on Cedric Alexander. Primo rolls out of the ring. Epico goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Primo and Epico win this impromptu handicap match.
Damn.
Come back soon, Shelton. Your partner's getting destroyed out here.
All of his partners are getting destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, last week, it was Cedric Alexander versus Primo with all of We Weren't Entertained at ringside, and that went horribly for Cedric. And now this happened. This is not looking good for our tag team champions.
Although I will say this, I don't necessarily love the concept of having Ted DiBiase try to come as the tag partner, only to get assaulted by some other non-influential factor. It's fine. I understand why you did it, but I don't necessarily. I feel like that kind of like almost overbooks the match before it can even start.
Yeah, I wanted to, because before this.
I understand. Like you had to get him on the show.
Yeah.
I understand that. It's just, I don't know if I love the execution here, but I see why you did it, and it still furthers things along.
Yeah.
At the very least, this is the first overbooking of the show, and it's happening in the mid-card. It's not happening in the undercard, which, if it happened in the undercard, it'd be a lot worse. Let's start the show with an overbooking, so when we do an overbooking later on in the show, it's the same exact shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not Tony Khan yet.
Key emphasis on yet. So after that, we have a hype package for the Ilya Dragunov versus Darby Allin match next week. And again, number 1 contendership match, winner faces Zack Sabre Jr. So now we have our 7th matchup of the night. Samoa Joe versus Matt Sydal in a non-title match. How long does this go, and who goes over?
Well, I can't imagine that you would have Matt Sydal beat Samoa Joe. I can't imagine why you would have that happen, unless you're planning on making some sort of prolonged feud with them, but that doesn't seem to be where you're going. At least that's what I can understand. So I'm going to say Samoa Joe wins. It's not necessarily a squash, but it's not necessarily close either. Maybe 7 minutes.
You have to keep the Joe very strong when he's facing Okada, so the Samoa in 5 minutes.
This match goes 3 minutes. Samoa Joe, 3 minutes.
I just hear you say
it's a 3-minute warning. 3-minute warning, my guy. So yeah, Rosie and Jamal come out. Anyway.
You have 3 minutes to entertain me, or this match is over.
So anyway, Samoa Joe just basically destroys Matt Sydal, hits him with them.
Both Rosie and Jamal dead?
That's why I didn't have them come out.
That's why I said I wish they would.
Phone calls were made, but then John Cena was like, "Oh wait, they're dead. Never mind."
Right.
So Samoa Joe hits the Muscle Buster, puts him in the Coquina Clutch, and Matt Sydal doesn't even tap out. He just passes out. So the referee calls it.
I have Eric Bischoff, so you can't steal that gimmick from me. Only I can use that gimmick.
I did consider it, but I held my tongue. So Samoa Joe with an easy squash of Matt Sydal.
Fair enough.
However, while he's celebrating, Kazuchika Okada comes out, and he's not wearing wrestling gear. He's wearing just his standard attire. And before Samoa Joe can, grab his Internet Championship to raise it over his head to, yeah, I'm the champion, Okada grabs the belt and enters the ring. And he's looking at the Internet belt, and Okada looks at Joe, and Okada hands Joe the belt. And Joe's like, okay. And Joe tugs at it a little bit, but Okada's not letting go. And then Okada lets go of it. And Joe's like, all right. So then Joe shoves Okada. And Okada's like, okay. And he slaps the shit out of Samoa Joe.
Oh.
So Joe smiles a little bit, but then he tries to rush Okada, but Okada low bridges. Joe lands on the apron. And then Okada hits him with that huge dropkick, sending Joe flying to the outside. Joe doesn't get too hurt off of that, but he rolls away, and he grabs his world title. And Okada's like, "Come on, bring it on! I got an answer for everything you've got, Joe." And Joe's like, "I'll wait. Let's wait for the pay-per-view. You'll pay for that." So they basically have a stare down, and Joe leaves, and we go to break.
I know Okada is accomplished. But, this is Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
He's the bigger man. He isn't certified ass kicker. You had to make Okada look good because Samoa Joe can. Samoa Joe is Samoa Joe and Samoa Joe.
Very eloquently put, Skylar.
I've got a question.
Yes.
How many of these matches that you've booked on this show have had some sort of interference at some point from somewhere outside party, either after the match or before the match?
Let's see. One. Like someone like not necessarily like involved in the match or like at the afters or whatnot.
Like Naito and Okada.
Oh, not just how many interferences have I had? One. Two. Just two so far.
Okay, just curious.
That might change though, because there are still 2 more matches left.
Yes, there are.
All right.
The main thing we're just checking is that we're making sure you're not AEW booking. We gotta make sure you're not Tony Khan.
I don't want too many afterbirths. That's all.
They gotta come up with a new name for
Otherwise, Brandy's gonna start eating them.
Oh my god! Jesus Christ!
I bet.
TAWTF match: The Hand versus Brandy's placenta.
Oh my god!
You can't even make a placenta in the game.
Watch me.
Oh, can't I?
Watch me.
Oh Lord.
Anyway, so we go backstage one last time tonight, and it's again Todd Grisham, and he says, joining me this time, the second half of our main event, Mercedes Martinez. And Mercedes walks up and he says, now Mercedes, you've been playing a very dangerous game the past couple weeks. You were impressive last week when you defeated Kaylee Ray, but the past couple weeks, you've been antagonizing Piper Niven. I mean, let's look at what she's been doing the past couple weeks. She has just demolished people. She came very close to injuring Xia Li. She did injure JR. She's gone crazy. Is this the wisest strategy, Mercedes? And Mercedes says, absolutely. I'm actively trying to piss her off. Because people like her, when they get pissed off, they get clumsy. They make mistakes. Especially someone as hot-headed as Piper Niven. I mean, for God's sakes. Did you see how humiliating her loss was at SummerSlam? It's because she got overconfident. She lost focus. She thought she had it in the bag. She doesn't have the experience of a Meiko Satomura. She doesn't have an experience of Mercedes Martinez. And it's going to show again tonight when, once again, for the 3rd week in a row, Mercedes humiliates Piper Niven. See ya out there, Dewdrop. And Mercedes walks away.
Got her.
And now we have... Thank you, Skylar. We have our final match of the mid-card. Our 3rd Beat the Clock Challenge match. Tommy End versus Bray Wyatt.
Oh, Lord.
So, this match, the time to beat is 8 minutes, 43 seconds.
Right.
How long does this go and who wins?
I'm afraid to even guess.
I'm gonna make a guess, and Joshua, don't hate me.
Oh boy.
The 2 of them are in the ring. Kenny Omega gets in there, super kicks Tommy, and causes Bray Wyatt to lose.
Via disqualification?
Yes.
Sean?
Okay, I'm gonna say Tommy End gets in the ring. Bray Wyatt gets in the ring. The lights go out. The lights come back on, and they're both in the exact same positions because they both thought that they were the ones responsible for the light outage. Then the lights go out again, and then the lights come back on again, and they're both still in the same spot.
Okay. And it just goes on and on and on until the heat death of the universe.
Then not quite.
Keeps happening.
Then the lights go out, and the lights come back on, and it's Sting!
He's not signed to SCCG.
No, it's The Undertaker.
It's Kenny Omega.
And they both look at him, and then Sting hits them both with a baseball bat and then repels back into the rafters to close the show.
No, he gives Tommy in the Scorpion Death Drop after the referee's down and then drags Bray Wyatt on top of him. And it takes the referee like 10 minutes to get to his feet, and then he counts the 1, 2, 3. Looking at you, Survivor Series 2014.
And then Sting does a splash for no reason.
Splash is one of the cameramen.
That's right, because he's got to do it in every match he's in now.
Anyway, so this match goes 6 minutes and 6 seconds. And it's, of the 3 Bray Wyatts, it's Swamp Bray Wyatt. So, they're going back and forth. There's a collar and elbow tie-up.
Hooray!
And, again, this back and forth. And Tommy End attempts to go for the Infinite Darkness kick, but Bray Wyatt ducks it and hits him with that huge Uragi.
Yeah.
And so Bray Wyatt's starting to act very disturbing, and he goes in the corner, and he does the weird upside-down thing. But then he stops because he notices something on the aisleway. Kenny Omega is walking down the aisleway with a Brody Lee shirt on. And the boos are raining down when the crowd notices this. And Kenny Omega's like, yeah, that's right. Look at my shirt. I'm an asshole. And Bray is... Bray is pissed. But he doesn't notice that Tommy End is back up. Infinite Darkness. Right to the cheek. Bray's down. 1, 2, 3. Tommy End wins this match. And he also wins the Beat the Clock challenge with a victory at 6 minutes and 6 seconds. So the main event of This is Spartanburg is going to be a triple threat match for the world title. It's going to be Tommy End versus John Morrison versus Anthony Corelli in Sean's favorite kind of match.
I mean, I feel like it would have been better if you had just had the match then be Corelli versus Tommy End, then Morrison gets shafted, and then he has, like, a case against whoever wins. But if y'all want a triple threat...
I wanted to do a triple threat. I don't hate them as much as you do.
Well, I'll be interested to see what you do with it.
That's because Sean doesn't want 3 ways, and Joshua is very fond of 3 ways.
They're not as good as you think they are.
Anyway.
It depends on if you're doing it right.
Or left. Anyway.
Okay, that was terrible.
What is wrong with all 3 of us?
That's kind of why I don't like 3 ways anymore. It's kind of gross.
The 3 of us is my favorite 3-way. Anyway, so...
I bet it is.
Nope.
I bet it is.
So Kenny Omega leaves with his shirt, and so Bray Wyatt pretty much drops out of frame. And then we hear music. It's John Cena. Do.
Confused?
John Cena, the general manager, comes out and he says, "Congratulations, Tommy End. You have won the Beat the Clock challenge." So at This is Spartanburg, it is going to be a 3-way match. You versus Corelli versus Morrison for the world title. However, one thing that you said that really interested me. You said that you're not interested in climbing ladders here in SCCG.
Oh, no.
That really stood out to me.
Not. No, you're not.
To make sure that we don't get some, like, just stupid roll-up, because, main event roll-up, that's kind of boring. No one would want to pay to see that. And we're not going to have some kind of, like, we're not going to have something stupid happen, okay? At This is Spartanburg. We're going to have a 3-way ladder match for the World Heavyweight title. It's going to be suspended above the ring, and whoever rips down the belt will be champion. However, if we weren't interferes in that championship main event, Anthony Corelli will be stripped of the title. So good luck. So good luck, guys, while I'm having a stroke.
I'm John Cena. Do.
And we go to commercial break.
So Sean, you have a gimmick on top of a gimmick, huh?
I'm in pain.
It's okay, Sean. It's not your show.
Yeah.
I know.
Also, keep in mind, I don't do gimmick matches all the time.
Yes, in all fairness to you, you really don't. You really keep it down the straight and narrow, mostly with singles. Anyway,
Also, the main
can't complain that much.
The main reason why I want it to be a ladder match is because I don't want any of these 3 to get pinned or submitted just yet.
Well, and your triple threat ladder match would probably be better than most modern triple threat ladder matches.
Yeah,
so
but
I'm willing to give yours more of a chance than I would WWE or AEW.
Yeah, and also just one thing, there's not going to be a million ladders. There's only going to be 2 ladders.
That's fair.
At ringside. Because, again, it's not going to be ridiculous.
Yeah,
It'll be a little ridiculous, but not super ridiculous. So we go to our next intermission, and now we have our main event. Match 9. Piper Niven versus Mercedes Martinez for the SCCG Women's Championship #1 contendership. But before Piper or Mercedes comes out, Meiko Satomura comes out with music and everything, and she has a seat already set up at ringside because she wants to watch the match, basically to scout her competition at the pay-per-view.
Understandable.
So it's Piper versus Mercedes in our main event, and again, giving the women a proper opportunity to main event a show. Suck my dick, Tony Khan. And Vince McMahon, for honestly. Well, he might actually do that. Anyway, so predictions.
Piper in 13 minutes.
I'm going to say Piper also wins, but I will give the guess of 12 minutes and 48 seconds.
Now, of
You know
course.
the Price is Right rules?
$1. $1. 1 second.
So, and again, main event matches in Palmetto Power and SCCG always have a 30-minute time limit. So this match goes 17 minutes.
Yay, I guess.
And a lot of the match is Mercedes just trying to, like, not do too much, like doing a move and then backing away a little bit, trying to pick her spots, trying to use her experience. Meanwhile, Piper's pissed and is trying to overpower Mercedes. However, there are multiple parts in the match where Piper tries something, but she's a little too overzealous and, a little too hot-headed, and Mercedes uses her experience to get an advantage. For example, she throws Mercedes out to the ringside area at one point, and, she has her on the apron, but Mercedes does the hot shot throat first into the ropes, because, again, she's the veteran in this match. And just little things here and there in this match that keep Mercedes Martinez in the match. And again, just proving Mercedes right because, again, Piper's inexperienced. She's a hothead. And here's the finish. Mercedes tries to go for her finishing move, the Fisherman Buster, but it's Piper Niven. She can't get her up. So Piper counters it into the Piper Driver. 1, 2, but Mercedes gets her leg on the bottom rope. So it is a rope break.
Fair. Nobody's kicking out of nothing, though.
So Piper is pissed. She yells at the referee, and she drags Mercedes away from the ropes and goes for a second pinfall attempt. 1, 2, very close near fall. Very close near fall. Off of one Piper Driver. But again, she got her foot in the ropes, so that wasted time and gave Mercedes some time to, get her senses back together. So Piper is just pretty much apoplectic. And she goes over and she starts pawing and ripping at the turnbuckle pad while the referee is checking on Mercedes, making sure she's still conscious. So Piper exposes the metal. And she goes over and grabs Mercedes, but before she can ram Mercedes into it, Meiko's yelling at the referee and pointing at the turnbuckle. And the referee notices, so the referee stops Piper from ramming because he's like, you can't do that, that's illegal. So Piper lets go of Mercedes, and Mercedes just drops to the ground. So Piper and the referee are yelling. Piper's yelling at Meiko, and then Mercedes, from behind, shoves Piper, and it almost knocks the referee out of the way. She knocks Piper head first into the exposed turnbuckle. And Piper's, she's clutching her forehead. She backs up. She gets into a roll-up. Mercedes rolls her up. And the referee doesn't see this. The referee didn't even see her go head first into the exposed turnbuckle because he got knocked out of the way. So roll up, and Mercedes gets both of her feet on the middle rope. 1, 2, 3. And Mercedes Martinez is your #1 contender.
Wow. That is not going to sit well with Piper.
Oh, and not only that, Piper Niven is bleeding from the head because of that exposed turnbuckle shot.
Oh, damn.
So now Piper Niven gets up, and she's pissed. She throws the referee out of the way, and just pounces on Mercedes Martinez and is just beating her up. So, Maiko jumps into the ring and is trying to pull her off of Mercedes. So, Piper turns around and turns her attention to Maiko Satomura. So they're fighting, and so she tries to go for something, but Maiko counters it and actually hits the Scorpion Kick, which she has not used yet, and Piper rolls out of the ring and is covered in blood, and it's honestly just chaos. But from behind, Mercedes has picked up the Women's Championship belt, and looks like she's about to hit Maiko with it, but Maiko catches her just in the nick of time, so Mercedes stops it, and she's like, oh, I didn't do anything, and drops the belt, and flips off Maiko Satomura, and then rolls out of the ring and exits through the crowd, and then we cut to black, and that's the end of the show. A chaotic main event, ladies and gentlemen.
Skyler?
This is complicated. I like the fact that you gave Mercedes Martinez the win because that's a fresh matchup. That would be a really damn good match.
Exactly. And I feel like they've had matches before.
They have. Hell, they had it in the women in the Mae Young Classic, and they've had it on the independent scene. So these two are experienced.
I vaguely remember that.
Piper and Niven, I like the fact they used blood at the end of the show in the main event.
Yes.
Even though Jim Cornette would say, but you're doing it with the girls.
I personally don't care, so long as it's put in the appropriate place.
I feel
let the women do it. If they want to play, let them play. Who gives a fuck?
My only concern about this is that now that's kind of 4 matches that involve either interference or... Actually, 5 matches that involved interference or post-match stuff.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't want to overbook the show too much, but this was the best I could come up with. I kind of booked myself into a corner. So, this is perhaps not the best episode of Palmetto Power, but... And also, last week, there was just a lot of just straight-up wrestling and not that much funny business. But I will concede there was some funny business on this show.
It's hard finding a balance, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, I look back at some of the old ACPW shows, and some of them were, right on the straight and narrow, and some of them were just, ridiculous. And it's hard, I think, especially when you're trying to, frame everything into I have a certain amount of time to go from point A to point D, but B and C can happen anywhere in this time frame, but where to put it and how to do it so that it makes sense for the next letter. If you're going A to Z, but you have B through Y that you've got to do in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's booking is not an easy thing to do. So, I think that these shows, sometimes you got to overbook stuff. There was one that I did a couple weeks ago that was literally 3/4 of it was just interviews.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like it's not an indictment on any of our shows. It's just sometimes you have to have some overbooking every once in a while just to get things moving.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to regulate, and that's why nobody in modern wrestling is very well good at it either.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing to do.
And again, I did not want Mercedes Martinez to just beat Piper Niven flat, because that would have killed Piper's momentum.
Right. I like the outcome here too. I think having 2 people sitting down and watching matches for number 1 contenderships is overdoing it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that that was kind of why I asked before, how many people have interfered in this match, because it seemed like anyone who had any interest in anybody else was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's instead of kind of letting some intrigue about this person's not here, or having it come up more in an interview or something, everybody interacted with everybody else, which is not bad. You want that.
Just be careful not to do it all the time.
It's very easy to oversaturate business.
Yeah, and at the same time, one of the reasons why I framed it that way is because we're almost at a pay-per-view, and I don't want to go through a show where a feud isn't even touched on, because yeah. And there's only so many times you can whip out a hype vignette, and there's only so many times you can have a backstage interview, and you have to have them interact at some points. But again, it's difficult.
But I like that you varied the interactions. One was an interview.
For sure.
One was a in-match, like, I'm going to help you win because I want you to win. Zack Sabre Jr. and Darby Allin. Another one was interference in the middle of the match, but it wasn't the same interference that happened in another match. It's acceptable. I just wouldn't do this
diverse.
type of show again.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's diverse. Like, I will give you credit for that. It's not like you're doing the same run in the same way every single matchup. It's not like that. So
yeah.
I don't want you to take this as a criticism of how you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's just what ends up happening sometimes. Like, my go-home shows are very guilty of that, where I'll just have to cram in a whole bunch of stories at once and be like, all right, well, here you go, people.
Yeah.
Here it is. You know, it's just what happens.
Yeah.
So, but it was still a good show. It still got across we needed to get across. You know where everybody stands. We've already got a good amount of matches coming up into this is Spartanburg.
So, and again, I apologize for letting you... I feel like you're less into the card for This is Spartanburg than Sumter Slam, because not only do we have Kenny Omega versus Bray Wyatt,
well, I'm dying to see that.
We have a triple threat ladder match in the main event.
I'm more excited for Kenny Omega and Bray Wyatt than I am for the triple threat ladder match, to be honest with you.
But that's just because that's the freak show factor of the show. Like, oh my god, I need to see what bullshit are you going to do?
But also, we have a legitimately, like, oh, I would love to see that done well in real life in Okada versus Joe.
Yeah, that's going to be good, too. That's going to be really good.
And also, Meiko Satomura and Mercedes Martinez had the best match of the Mae Young Classic. The first year they did it. Or whatever year they did it, it's really good. It's really good.
I mean, there's a reason why both were highly sought after, and hey, I'm willing to run that back again. I think your show's coming along nicely. You're doing a good job. Just stay away from the sports entertainment stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard because we've been watching Vince McMahon since we were babies.
Yeah.
Stay away from the Tony.
Stay away. It's either stay away from the dementia or stay away from the Adderall. It's a minefield out here. You never know what you're going to step in.
Imagine Tony McMahon or Vince Khan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you, God. Thank you, Sean and Skylar, for joining me on this momentous occasion. It's been a while since the three of us have done one of these shows.
It is, and you're going to have to hop onto an ACPW versus NWL show here pretty soon.
And I promise I won't break something one split second into the show.
No, we'll leave that to me.
But thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Go subscribe to the Court Martial Podcast. I guess subscribe to CIW. I don't appreciate them trying to take over my show, but if you want to subscribe to them, I can't stop you. Also subscribe to TAW Gaming and Super Jam Session. We have way too many YouTube channels flying hither and yon. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that. Bye.